Greetings and salutations, and welcome to Illegitimate Legends, the show where I talk about some of the more unusual League of Legends builds. And for some reason, this build is unusual. I don't know why. Having played it substantially over the last 2 or 3 weeks, I don't know why this isn't done more often, why this isn't the main Nasus build. I am, of course, talking about AP Nasus. It is just outright amazing. I think, personally, that it's better than the traditional Nasus, and yet I got flamed by quite a lot of people for using AP Nasus. Until, of course, I did some of the things that AP Nasus can do. It is, of course, built around the concept of Spirit Fire. Spirit Fire is a great move. It's got a nice large AoE. Really, really good. It's about a 1.5, 1.6 AP ratio. I'm not entirely sure on the figures there, but a little bit of AP can make it nice and powerful, and it deals damage in 2, almost 3 ways. First, it deals an initial burst of damage as it detonates. When you first see the fire spring up, bang, wave of damage. Then it deals that same amount of damage again over the period of time that it's there. So it deals half its damage initially and half its damage in damage over time if you stay in the area. Lastly, it reduces the armor of of everything inside it. At early levels, it's actually about armor reduction of 25. I think that's level 1. And 20 armor, or 25, I'm not sure which it is, but that's a lot. When you get right down to it, this early on, that's a lot of armor. Because a lot of champions start with only 30 or 40. So that can get you a lot of extra damage from your own hits, or more importantly, if you're duo laning, if you're with an AD carry, it can really make them quite potent early on. The other... well, there's no other AP ratios. Unless you pull the same little trick that I pulled with AP Gangplank, get yourself a Lich Bane. That makes Siphoning Strike get the Lich Bane effect and hit really, really hard. Now, I don't get Siphoning Strike, and this will make some of you Nasus savvy players very confused. I don't get Siphoning Strike until I've maxed all other abilities. Except his ultimate, but that goes without saying. I do this because it's not that good a damage output with this build unless you've got a lot of AP and the Lich Bane, and I just don't get that. Certainly not early on in the game. So, Siphoning Strike becomes useless to me until I've really got the AP behind it, and I'm not building up stacks with it because I'm not going for an AD orientated build. Yes, I could probably get more damage out of it that way, but I don't know, it's never really bugged me before. So with Lich Bane, you can turn turn your Siphoning Strike into a very, very potent weapon of destruction. And I mean, yeah, I really mean weapon of destruction. Champions, not so much. But I don't know where it's coming from. I'll make this clear to start with. I don't know why this works, but somewhere in the damage calculation against towers and structures, Lich Bane is really, really powerful, particularly with a lot of AP behind it, as this build tends to get. And something about a Lich Bane empowered Siphoning Strike is phenomenal. I've dealt easily 400 to 700 damage to towers, and my highest recorded damage with a Siphoning Strike is over 2,000 damage to a Nexus. 2 or 3 hits, there's no Nexus anymore. And you can use that about every 3 seconds. Why wouldn't you? Really, why wouldn't you? Of course, you got your Wither. That's not going to change. It is going to make you very, very dangerous to high attack speed based champions, because I'm not sure if you know this, but at level 5, at the end of Wither, you've reduced their movement and attack speeds by 95%. Again, It's not changed, it's no different to the traditional Nasus build, but it means, well, you can keep them in your Spirit Fire a lot longer, you can make sure your Spirit Fire detonates underneath them, they don't have enough time to move out, and they can't run from you. It's not gonna happen. Last, and certainly not least, we've got Nasus's ultimate, and it's good. Nasus's ultimate deals percentage damage in an AoE around him. With just 500 ability power, that gets it to, at max level of course, gets it to a 10% of your maximum health in magic damage every second. It lasts for 15 seconds, so I'm pretty sure magic resist will affect this, but there'll be a lot of champions that if you just put your ultimate on and then stood next to them and no one did anything for the entire fight, by the time your ultimate ends, they're dead. Just outright. And so I found that really, really useful at times. Let's not forget the extra health and the fact that the damage you deal with the AoE percentage damage actually gets added into your attack damage. Not on a 1-to-1 ratio, and I don't know what the ratio is because it's not exactly made clear, but it is certainly significant. It will really, really hurt the enemy team when you then pull an ordinary attack or, heaven forbid, a siphoning strike against them. So, that's how you play, or why it works rather. How you play is just Spirit Fire like a boss, all the time. I was taught a long, long time ago that you should never spam Spirit Fire, particularly early, because it's got such a high mana requirement. But if you use it right, yes, you've got to deal with a high mana requirement, but you'll be getting enough kills that it's not going to make a huge difference. And you can easily get the mana regeneration with the right item build to counter that. So yeah, anyway, items. I've already mentioned Lichbane. The boots I got were Boots of Lucidity, because I liked getting the abilities out more often, although, as I've said, with mana issues, that can actually be detrimental to you. I also got Morello's Evil Tome. This is, working off the new items and the most recent item changes, it's harder to come up with it, but Morello's Evil Tome I got because of the Cage's Lucky Pick early, and the cooldown reduction and mana regen. I also get Deathfire Grass. Both the new and, or the old and the new are very, very good. Mostly because of the active gives you an extra ability, as you may already know, but the passive is, or the passives effects, the AP for the most part, really, really nice. I also got Rabadon's Death Cap, a Lichbane, and finished off with whatever seemed to fit best with what was happening at the time. Sometimes I got Spell Vamp, sometimes I got Spell Penetration, but whatever you get, make sure it's got AP in it, because that's what this build is all about. Again, I recommend to everyone who plays Nasus to try this build, and I think you'll like it. It is very, very powerful. Thank you, and good night.